Hello, and welcome to Beyond Curriculum, the professional development series for ASC tutors at College of the Siskiyous. This video will be looking at study skills, most specifically the study cycle. Much like reading, studying is hard to avoid in college if you want to do well. The study cycle that we'll be discussing draws on information from Bloom's taxonomy and metacognition, both of which we looked at in a previous video. So, talking about Bloom's taxonomy, if you remember, it goes from the bottom to the top and starts with remembering, moves up to understanding, applying knowledge, analyzing information, evaluating it, and then finally being able to create something on your own. And we can use different aspects of this taxonomy during the course of the study cycle. Now, the study cycle is broken down into different parts: preview, attending class, reviewing information, studying, and then assessing. When we preview, that is generally when we read before class. Sometimes an instructor has assigned reading that they would like for you to read before class. If not, then it's always a good idea to maybe look ahead in a textbook and, if nothing else, read the chapter summary to get an idea of what will be covered in class. This is an opportunity to kind of get the big picture of what will be covered when you attend class. I know I've said this before, but it's important to get the brain primed so that it's able to absorb new information more efficiently. The next step is to attend class, but it's not really enough just to show up at class. It's very important to listen and participate. Now, listening is all well and good, but it's important also to engage in classroom discussions or ask questions. When you're learning new information, every time you can get that information to move through your brain, it just helps to solidify it in there and helps you to remember it better. So if you're not just listening in class, but you're also discussing things, that keeps that flow of information going in your brain and it helps students to be able to absorb the information. Then there's review. This is when you move information from the short-term memory into the long-term memory. And one thing that can really help with this is, as soon as possible after class, going over the notes that were taken in class, going over what was discussed in class. So if there's a 15-minute break in between classes, maybe take 5 minutes and just look things over to make sure that you understand what happened in class. And that starts moving that information from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. And then later on, of course, you'll want a full-blown study session. And there's a little formula for a study session that can help. You can set it up by starting out with planning your study session. You just want to take a minute or two and plan what it is that you'd like to accomplish. How much information would you like to go over? Is there a particular chapter? Is there a section of your notes that you'd like to focus on? So, having a plan and setting a goal for the study session can be very helpful. And then, of course, you want to do the studying itself. And people generally suggest 30 to 50 minutes of studying, and you know what works best for you. You don't want to go too long because after a while you can get into information overload and your brain just can't absorb any more information. So it's important after 30 to 50 minutes of studying that you relax for 10 or 15 minutes. Get up and walk around, have a snack, do something different for a few minutes. Just give your mind a chance to move away from that information. This actually also helps information to move from short-term memory into long-term memory. And then you'll want to review for about 10 or 15 minutes. And this is when you can think about Bloom's taxonomy and think about where you are on that scale. Are you just remembering things? Do you feel like you're understanding things? Have you moved up into being able to apply the information? And so you're not only using Bloom's taxonomy, but you're using some of that metacognition that we talked about. So this is a really good practice here, the planning, studying, relaxing, reviewing, that you can go over with your tutees and suggest to them. And then you want to assess how the studying is going for you. So basically, a student is asking themselves, is learning effective? Am I moving up the ladder of Bloom's taxonomy? Are there different things I could be doing when I study? Are there different resources available to me? Do I need a tutoring session? Do I need to look at other resources at the library? It's good to have that conversation with yourself and assess how the learning is going. And that's when you use the metacognition. So these are questions you can ask tutees to get them thinking about their learning. And you can begin with, what do you believe is important to understand and learn in this course? This is great. It gets students thinking about what the expectations are for the course, what it is that they'll have to accomplish, and being able to set goals to reach those accomplishments. Another question is, what do you believe to be characteristics of successful students in this course? This helps the student to really establish what that role of the student looks like and what successful students would do. This can get them thinking about practices that they can implement to be successful. And how will you study and prepare for exams in this course? This is a good time to talk to students about breaking things down and maybe setting a little schedule for themselves of what they need to study every day leading up to an exam and how much time they're going to spend on it, maybe even setting a reminder in their phone. So let's revisit the study cycle just one more time. You want to do the preview where you do some reading or look over a chapter in a book. Want to attend class and participate. Review the material as soon after class as possible. Study, have an actual study session, and then assess how learning is going and think about ways that it can be made more effective. Applying these techniques can help your tutees to study more efficiently. You can also model the study cycle to your tutees. If they know that this is something you're doing, they're more likely to use it themselves. Thank you so much for being a part of the ASC team, and thank you for watching.